All right, so I want to get into a market update for the Boise Treasure Valley area. So a lot of people are seeing doom and gloom and they're like, well, should I buy? I really would like to move to Idaho and I really want to move somewhere like the Boise area just because it's more familiar to me. It's more like a big city where I'm coming from, but it has that small town feel. We all know the reasons why people are moving here if you've done any research on this. However, people are wondering, hey, is the market crashing? Are the critics right? Is everyone saying that it's going to crash and we should probably just wait? Well, I want to give you a little bit of an update. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. Let's get into the facts. Let's look at the actual numbers. Let's see, is the bubble popping? Is it really as bad as they say? If you like content like this, please like and subscribe. It helps us out and it gets our content to you, so hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, let's get into a market update for the area surrounding the Boise and the Treasure Valley area. So let's get into some of the backstory. What's going on with the Boise market? This wasn't always the case, right? The Boise housing market was not always the hottest market in America. It didn't just happen overnight either. This has been slowly brewing since about 2015, and it started ramping up to about 2018, and then it started exponentially growing. And then in 2020, of course, the pandemic happened. People wanted to get out of those cities. They wanted to get off the West Coast. They wanted to get out of New York. They wanted to get somewhere more family friendly, somewhere that wasn't so lockdown happy and regulation happy. So what happened? This great place that I live in right now turned into a madhouse and everybody started flooding in. The prices went to the moon. That's kind of the reason why it happened. But what's going on now? So it's 2022 in December almost. And what's going on with the market? Is it dumping? Is it crashing? What's going on? So I want to kind of get into that and kind of explain how it's looking right now and kind of give you the actual numbers and give you some reassurance one way or the other, because you may not want to move here right now, or maybe you do want to move here right now. Maybe it's actually the best time to come. So let's get into some of the speculations, some of the numbers. The first thing I want to get into is this a buyer's market? Is it technically a buyer's market by the numbers? Well, actually, it isn't. We don't have enough supply right now to justify it being called a buyer's market. If you're comparing what's going on right now with the market, with how long things are staying on the market, with how the pricing is going, things are dipping a little bit, it really does feel like a buyer's market to everybody involved. Myself as a realtor, people who are looking at houses, maybe they started looking last year and then they paused and now they're looking again and they can see the difference. And believe me, there is a huge difference between how it was a year ago when I actually bought my house and to where it is right now in 2022. It's technically not a buyer's market, but it sure feels like one. We still don't have enough real estate inventory to justify that. And so what that means is there has to be a certain threshold of inventory for there to be considered a buyer's market. We don't have a really long time on market for the average house in the Boise area. The average is between 40 days and 60 days on the market, depending on what area in the Boise Treasure Valley area you're looking at. So that's not a ton of time. In general, it's still a really, really good time to sell, but it's also a good time to buy because the prices are a lot better than they were before. Even though the interest rates are higher, we all know interest rates fluctuate. You can refinance. So this is actually a great time for people to buy. I would still consider this somewhat of a buyer's market, especially comparing it to what happened in the last 2-3 years. That's kind of getting into the actual buyer-seller's market of the Boise Treasure Valley area. Okay, so what's the median average household price that houses are going for in the Boise area? So in Boise itself, the average fell just below $500,000 for the median house in Boise, in the city of Boise. Of course, there are cities around Boise, such as Eagle, Idaho, such as Meridian, Idaho, such as Star, such as Nampa. And every one of those cities has a little bit different median household price. Like, for instance, Eagle, the median is about $900,000 or so right now. And in Meridian, it's about $550,000. In Boise, it's just under $500,000 right now. So it does change slightly, but in general, the price has come down a little bit from where it was peaking at around March of 2022. If you're looking at comparing it from this time last year to right now, so 1 year later, you're looking at a decline of about 3.8% from what it was last year at this time. Not a huge, massive crash like a lot of people are leading people to believe. It is actually down from where it was at its peak at the beginning of this year. But overall, it's still very high, and it's still a huge amount higher than it was before the pandemic. So the prices are actually holding pretty decent, considering a lot of people consider Boise to be the hottest real estate market in the last 3 years in the whole United States. One of the problems that we had in this area is there just wasn't enough inventory for people. People were flooding in here, and even right now there's not enough inventory, as I mentioned earlier in the video. But new construction is a huge booming industry in this area, in the Treasure Valley area. They're building like crazy. There's a lot of lots that are just bare right now that have streets that are waiting to be built. The inventory level for new houses was really low because they were selling the second they went on the market. A lot of times they sold before they went on the market. We bought our house before it was even on the market. We made an offer to the builder before it went on the market. So a lot of that was going on before, and now the inventory for the brand new houses, the inventory for new construction, is up about 230%, which means we actually have some inventory right now for new houses. And a lot of those houses haven't been built yet. You can customize it. You can do whatever you want with it. So it's actually an improvement in that situation where we actually have more new houses to choose from, which is kind of what a lot of people want when they move here. Okay, so what's the forecast like? What is going to happen? Is there a bubble that's going to pop? That's kind of the hot button thing if you search on the internet. Bubble's going to pop. Bubble's bursting in Boise area. Well, is it true? Well, actually, if you look at the forecast from now until September of next year, they're saying prices are going to increase by 4.3%. So that's actually pretty decent considering we're heading into what a lot of people would call a recession, and the housing market seems to be dipping and the interest rates are going up. So if the housing market is actually expected to go up higher than it's actually dropped in the last year, that's actually a pretty good sign for the market here. So they're predicting this based on trends, based on how much interest there is in people moving here, based on the activity, the days on market. These are all things that are taken into consideration. So I actually think that's a really promising sign for the Treasure Valley market in general. One thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is every single year, pretty much without exception, there's always going to be slow times in the market. And I remember last year around this time at the end, right before Christmas, after Thanksgiving, from about maybe October through January, we had a slow time, and last year was the hottest time for the market at this time. So we noticed that prices were still going up. Like our house we bought in August, and by January or February, we were up about $75,000 on what they perceived to be the value of our home in just 4 or 5 months. So it was still going up, but there was a slow period of about 2 months where houses just weren't selling. Like we have a new community that we live in, and we had a lot of new builds, and we had for sale signs on about 5 or 6 properties around my neighborhood that I could see basically from my front door that all had for sale signs that were not moving. And then just all of a sudden around January, it was like sold, sold, sold. Every single house went sold. Thinking that right now the housing market is in a little bit of a slump is kind of normal actually right now. This is not going to be a hot time. People are not buying houses in the holiday season when Thanksgiving is going and Christmas is coming up and all that stuff. It's just not a time. It's kind of a slow period anyways. So we're going to have to wait and see how the springtime goes. But in general, there's a lot of promise as far as the forecasts go. Everybody's saying, hey, this is going to actually get better, not worse. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is the midterm elections just happened. And so what happens with elections like this? So a lot of people are not happy with the direction that their elections went. They weren't happy with who got elected. They aren't happy with the trend of how their state's going. They've been thinking about moving for a while, looking around. So after an election like what just happened on the West Coast, we see a lot of people that are saying, you know what, that's it. I'm done. I'm not putting up with another 4 years of what's been going on in my state. I'm not happy. This is one of the reasons why myself and my family left. We just got fed up. So I think that a lot of people, and this is just my opinion, I think a lot of people are looking at Idaho to get out of the state that they're in, move to a better place, get to a better form of government that they appreciate more, that kind of holds their values. And so I think that that's going to drive a lot of people regardless of the interest rates. As a lot of people know, the interest rates actually did fall this month by 0.5%, which is a really good sign. That's something that's showing the trend is kind of leveling off, it probably won't crash back down to like 3 or 4% anytime soon as far as the interest rates go. The housing market as far as buyer or seller market right now is still on the seller side. It's still considered a seller's market, but it's quickly approaching kind of a balanced market where it's kind of a little bit of a buyer's market, a little bit of a seller's market. You can make some compromises and some adjustments. Sellers can offer incentives, that kind of thing. So it's a really good time. If you're thinking about coming to the Boise Treasure Valley area, contact me. I can give you some insight. I can show you some homes. I can send you some information, kind of explain to you how far your money will go, and we can talk to you about some loan programs and whatnot, get you in touch with our loan people. So let me know if you have any questions, idahopulse.com. If you could like and subscribe to this channel, that helps us out. But hopefully this market update gave you some insight into what's really going on in the market, and kind of put to rest some of the scare tactics that are going around as far as, hey, everybody should hold off and not buy right now. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Good luck in the real estate market, and let us know if you have anything that we can help you with. Thanks.